So tonight, our subject is sabotage. So
Ah,
I was thinking about this a lot today because, we have our external sabotage and we have more internal sabotage. And really, the external sabotage is really just us projecting the internal sabotage on people. So it's really all about what's going on in our mind. But let's talk about a little bit like, I think different places that sabotage happens, because I think sometimes it happens subtly, like in our mindset or in how we're thinking about things and our actions that we're used to. So let's start by just talking about maybe ways you recognize you sabotage yourself, right? Like, so what are some ways that you sabotage? I know for me, a big one is like, if I've seen the scale going down, then I'm like, oh, well, I can go have that donut.
Mhm.
It'll be fine. I can have the donut and then I'll resume, right? What
I'm
have
the
you guys
opposite.
seen?
I'm the opposite with that. When the scale goes up, I go, what the heck? It's up
You're like,
anyway. I
it's
tried
not
so
working
hard.
anyway.
It didn't
Yeah.
work. If I'm going to gain anyway, I might as well enjoy it.
So if the scale's going down, you think, okay, keep doing what I'm doing.
Yes. When the scale
Okay,
goes down,
okay.
I can do
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the biggest way I sabotage myself is by not making sure I have food on hand and meals planned out. So if I don't know what I'm having for my next meal, like by the time I'm hungry and there's not food available, it's not good.
Right. It's kind of like, I'll get gas in the morning.
Exactly.
Right?
Like
You
I'll
know,
get
you're
gas.
kinda like,
That's like the biggest lie you tell yourself.
It 100% is. Yeah. So then you're kind of like, yeah, I'll handle it before the next meal. It'll be fine.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
going with the scale thing, there was one time we were at a doctor, me and my husband, and I was filling out a paper for the doctor. And one of the things was, what's your stress level this week? And I had put down 0. And my husband goes, 0? No stress? Because we had a stressful week. We were planning things. He goes, but it was such a stressful. What do you mean 0? I said, you don't get it. The scale's going down. I can handle anything. Like, but if it's going up, everything bothers me.
Interesting. Yeah. So, so let's talk about like external sabotage. So sometimes we're in scenarios, like if you work in an office or if you're at a family gathering, and then there's people who are kind of like, oh, you need to try this, or you need to eat this, or it was funny. So someone had posted a blog post about a peanut butter cheese ball for Kim, because Kim loves peanut butter. And usually I don't read blogs, you know what I mean? I'm like, just get me to the recipe. So I'm kind of scrolling through and something caught my eye and I'm like, what is she saying? So I was reading through it and she talked about how she likes to bring this peanut butter cheese ball to the party because everybody is going to be like, oh, I'm dieting, or I'm not going to have that. And she's like, and then by the end of the night, everybody's eating the cheese ball, or everybody's eating the peanut butter ball, or whatever it's called. And I'm like, that is so cranky of you, right? Like, why can't people just pick what they want and you don't have to be like bullying and forcing them into this thing, right? I mean, it's not like she's sitting there, with holding their arms behind their back or force feeding them peanut butter balls. But the point being, it's like you do have these kind of outside forces working on you, right? And if you're in a mental mindset to let that sway you, if you're kind of in a place where you're like, yeah, you're right, I'll just try it. I'll just, the girl, don't do it. No, I'm not going to do it. I was just thinking about it. I'm not going to do it. And then you're like, I did it. But so, you know what I mean? It's totally like that, where so it really depends on how you're feeling about yourself, what can come into your world and change that, right? I just thought it was so cranky though of this. I'm like, that's awful. I'm like, just support your friends. My gosh, why would you want it? Because she's like, you shouldn't be trying to lose weight when you're at a party. And I'm like, that's none of your business.
No. I used to get that a lot because I'm naturally really thin. And so people always try to feed
you. Yeah.
And I'm like, if I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat. I don't need you. Or like they'll do the survey check of the plate, you know, like, oh, is that all you're having?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that is all I'm having. Thank you. And it took a lot to learn how to stand up for myself, to say, you know, like, no, I'm not, you know, or like brush off when they make like kind of like, you know, they think they're being funny, but it's not funny. Like
it's their own insecurity, right? It's their own like ability to encourage themselves and empower themselves in their own food choices, right? If you have people around you who are, I don't want to call it weak with food choices, but you know what I'm saying, like that don't necessarily feel empowered with a no, then they're going to be like, I don't want to be the only one, right? I don't want to be the only, you know, why don't you indulge too with me? Same with alcohol. Like, I'm having another shot. Why don't you have another shot? You know, it's all kind of works together. So, yeah. So
I think like that, Mariana, when I see a thin person and they just put that little bits on their plate, I don't say it, but I think, and I'm like, that's why she looks like that and I look like this.
Yeah, it's not really, but it's not like that. It's usually probably because I've already eaten. Like you can, no joke, I know when my next meal is coming, and if I think it's gonna be too long, I will have snacks. Yeah. Like I don't travel without snacks. As a matter of fact, as a brief detour in this conversation, my husband and I were going somewhere and it was kind of a road trip one day. And so I packed snacks and we put them in the cooler. We were driving there and I'm like, hey, like, where's that cooler of snacks? And he's like, it's in the trunk. I have never been more offended. I was like, you put my snacks in the trunk.
How am I going to get there?
Them. And he's like, yeah, they're not for now. They're for the way back. I was like, you do not throw my intake. That is like the last time he put my snacks in the trunk. That was a lesson learned to him. I was like, no. I was like, that's not nice.
That is not appropriate.
Did he think he was helping you?
Not appropriate.
Did he think he was helping you?
No, he did it because they were for the way back, like in case we got hungry on the way home. And he just had never really like road tripped with me like that, which is weird because we road trip constantly. But, you know, growing up, we always kept the snacks in the back seat. And I thought that was a universal place for snacks on road trips. Apparently it's not. So my husband learned the hard way that day when I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like I was like really offended.
Right.
And the food was that far away and I couldn't get to it.
You're like, what's the point of even bringing
Stop the car now?
The car.
Exactly.
Leave them in the back seat.
Right. But so then on the way back, there was vindication for him because on the way back, I was eating them and I was so happy that we had them for these. Like, aren't you glad you need them? And I'm like, I don't need that right now. So,
that's funny.
Yeah, always have snacks. Make sure you have your meals like planned and ready. That's another thing is if I don't meal prep or don't have like cooked food that I can just reheat, forget it. Like it's game over. Whatever is the quickest thing for me to get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so then that takes us into like personal sabotage, right? So there's a couple ways this is such a personal thing. It's really hard to like have a structured, like do this or do that, because you really have to think in the moment of why is this a problem right now? Or why am I either having this food and not hungry, right? Or why am I having an attitude of this doesn't work? Or, you know, why am I having the attitude of the scale went down, which is what I want. So now I'm going to eat more calories so that it stops going down. You know what I mean? All the different scenarios, whatever the scenario is, because there's just so many ways we can sabotage. We could sabotage in ways of like thinking that whatever this new way lifestyle looks like is too scary. Like it's going to be too restrictive. It's going to feel like too much work. It's going to look different than how I live now. It's going to be uncomfortable in some way, right? You're projecting some kind of fear about however this new way of eating, living, working out looks. And so then it's like you have to figure out, okay, why is that so scary? Because all of it, you know, I've been listening to High Five Habit a ton lately, and I'm like, I had a goal to get through at least a book a month, and I'm still on this book from January. So I'm really working my way through it this week. But so it's one of those things where, hey, Lily, it's one of those things where, you know, you're fearful of something. So why are you stopping yourself? Right? So you have to figure out, what is it that's so scary about eating vegetables on your plate every meal, right? Or getting your workout in, or saying no to a dessert that doesn't really matter to you in the end, right? So it's like, what's so like fearful about it that you would then sabotage yourself? And I think that's where you also have to really decide, is the goal I'm working toward the goal, right? Am I invested in it so much? Do I believe in it? Like, so let's say your goal is to lose 20 pounds. Is that the goal? Or is the goal really, you just want to feel better, or you want to feel like a certain way in your clothing? Or is it the 20 pounds, right? And you have to kind of narrow down, like, what's the most meaningful piece of this goal? Like, because that's the piece, it's your why, right? It's the reason you're going to say, I'm not really hungry and I don't really want a cheesecake, so I'm good. No thanks. Or the scale went down and you're like, awesome, I'm going to keep this going. This is what I'm trying to do. Instead of being like, oop, I'm going to revert back to an old treat habit. So it's really figuring out like that why that carries you through. And then I think you also add in what we've talked about in the past, right? Of shortening your window, making the goal within a shorter time period, so that it doesn't feel like, well, now I have to eat Brussels sprouts every meal for the rest of my life if I want to be, 20 pounds lighter.
My house wouldn't smell good if I did that.
Right? We know that's not true, but that's kind of how we feel about our goals sometimes, right? You kind of feel like, I'm never going to get to have this. I'm going to have to eat something I don't like. I'm not going to, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to have to live unhappily, but my jeans are going to fit. And nobody wants that. Yeah. So it's really trying to get into it. And this is one of those things where, sometimes you might have to go through and feel some stuff, right? And kind of work through some reasons of why am I doing this? What's happening here? Why is this making me feel in a way that I want to use food to like either get back at myself or squash it down or whatever it is, right? There's something there. And I thought it was interesting, Kathy, when you said, like you see skinnier people and you say that's why they're skinny. Well, and there's some truth to that, right? Like they may not have the same feelings about food that someone who's not skinny. They probably don't. They also may, there's not like this magic metabolism where they like have a magic, they probably just move more in their day. They probably, have ways of being more active. I have a child who will likely not be overweight if he continues on his mindset, because he's like, if I'm not hungry, I'm not hungry. I'm not going to eat. And when I'm not hungry anymore during a meal, I stop eating and I'm done. Doesn't matter if I've finished my plate. Doesn't matter if I really love the food and it's my favorite thing ever to eat. I'm done. So I'm done. So I put it away and I'm done. And that's it's a different set of circumstances. Yeah. And so you kind of have to figure out like, okay, so how do I think about food? Because I know there's lots of times, it's funny because when I was in Wisconsin, I felt like I was losing a little bit of weight. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm only eating 3 meals and I'm not snacking in between. And then I get back home and I'm kind of like, oh, there's some pistachios and I'm wandering through the kitchen and it's all my stuff, right? Like stuff I know I love. And I'm kind of like, okay, that's interesting, because when I was at my parents' house, they didn't have the same snacks I had and I really wasn't interested in what was sitting around. But like here, I'm kind of like, oh, okay. So I'm kind of been thinking about that lately, like, how can I help myself to, because I'm not hungry. I'm not walking around here starving by any means. So it's like, how can I kind of get some of those things maybe either out of the kitchen, or just have a mindset of also walking around being like, are you actually hungry right now? And these are all things that play in. Sabotage is such a broad scope. And so it's almost
is it bad to have those snacks, even if you're not hungry? Especially if they're not, getting in the way of anything?
But what's the purpose of it? I guess it depends on what's the purpose. Like, what does it do for you if you're really antsy about a goal, if you have a goal, right, that you're working on? I mean, and they're extra.
Okay, that's one thing.
Right.
But you're
if it's
at
occasional.
Goal. You have a goal now, or you're at your goal, unless there's different goals.
You're right. My goal right now is to just get my workouts done, and I'm in a maintenance mode. But so if I do have these extra snacks, I do curb something later.
Oh, you do?
Right? Because like I'll have so for instance, my lunch was just a salad instead of adding in some carbs, because I sat there having some hummus while I was waiting for when I was having my salad, right? While I was making my salad. So I'm like, okay, I just had those two things and I know kind of how they equate, right? And so then my snack later today was, I just had a cup of coffee instead of having more things, because I also wasn't hungry, because I had quite a bit of fat in there. I had probably 2 blues worth.
Mhm.
So, because I had some avocado and I had some hummus.
Okay.
So you know what I mean? It's one of those things where I feel like I've gotten pretty good at keeping my day to day. Yeah, similar. And instead of but because I can really feel overeating and I don't like it anymore. I don't like how I feel when I overeat.
Yeah.
So I really work to be like, okay, let's bring it down a little bit. But if you're snacking often, I also find you never quite get that too full feeling, but you're just never hungry either.
Yeah.
And it's okay to feel a little hunger from time to time. And that used to be something that I was fearful of. And I don't know why, because I had plenty of food as a child. There's no reason that I can think of why I'd feel that way. But it was a thing, right? I always had snacks with me. I always had we'd leave the house and it looked like I was traveling for 20 with toddlers and they didn't even care about eating. But it's, it's I always felt like, well, what if I get hungry and we're somewhere and there's no food? What am I going to do? Right? Because there used to be a hangry Deanna that would come out. She was not very much fun. She was not enjoyable to be around. But, looking back, was it really the hunger, or was Deanna just kind of in a sassy attitude that really maybe didn't have to be? But you know what I mean? Was it really just a time in my life where I kind of let that come out versus just dealing with, feeling hungry? Or was I just kind of for lack of a better word, pissy about something else? You know what I mean? Where you're just kind of striking out. Because I can get hungry now and not lose it. So I don't know that it's really that different. Other than, how I've changed, how I've decided to react to it.
The one thing that the Ultimate Reset has done for me is that now I'm only eating 3 meals a day and I'm having Shakeology as my snack. And it's really been a game changer. This afternoon, I was hungry and I went into the kitchen. I kind of milled around and I was looking what can I have? There was really nothing that I was none of this really is interesting to me. So I was I'll just have my Shakeology like I normally do with my Power Greens and coconut oil. And then I was fine. And so I'll have dinner soon when my husband gets home. But it's been interesting to see that shift just in food wise and what I'm choosing. And I like these Lenny and Larry's protein cookies, and I have 2 of them.
I remember those. We talked about them, I think, didn't we?
Yeah. And they're horrible for you. They're still in the pantry. I had zero desire to open and eat them. And so it's been really interesting because I really want to maintain the success I had from Ultimate Reset. And just the fact that I really fell in love with the food and the eating style. And that's just been such a game changer. Because for me going into it, it was onerous. And that was the biggest hurdle. I was like, I have to prepare all of this. And then I've got to make sure there's food in the fridge. Like this, I'm tired thinking about this. And then when I just like put it aside and did it, I was like, oh, this isn't that bad.
Yes, 100%. And that's where it's like either you let the fear make the decision, right? That I'm not going to do this because it's going to be too much work. Or you say, okay, well, what if I try it and then decide if it's too much work, or really see if it's too much work? And I think that's the piece where it's like you're talking yourself through to be like, okay, what's the worst that can happen?
Exactly.
I eat some vegetables. What's the worst? You know what I mean?
Right.
I eat some vegetables. Maybe I'm hungry once in a while. What's really awful going to happen from this if I just try it, or if I follow this plan for 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever it is, right? Because I think sometimes we talk it up too, like, well, what if I put in all this work and I do all this stuff and then I have no results, right? I mean, I've heard that from lots of people. But is it really possible to do it all and have nothing at the end? Because somehow you're going to be changed. Somehow you are going to have experienced something will happen. It might not look like the very end goal you want to see or what you think should happen, but somehow you're going to learn something through it.
Yeah,
right?
I thoroughly exceeded what I thought I would see from doing the Ultimate Reset. It like honestly blew my mind. I was like shocked.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, we've had lots of conversation about this.
So many conversations. I'm like, Deanna, let's talk about this.
With you on all of this. Like it was such a game changer. It really astonishes me. Yeah.
That's funny because I know when I mean, I guess it's just me personally. I know when I put my mind to something that something's gonna change.
Yes.
Like, yeah, I know when I get back on, like I've been tracking this week, my containers. I know that even though it's Shark Week and we'll get into that, but
you can actually, hey though, wait a second, with Shark Week, you can actually lift heavy. Don't let it say you have the best chance to put on muscle during Shark Week.
Oh, I am.
You are the most like male hormones that you can be during Shark Week.
I was carrying my 35s when we were doing squats earlier with Megan.
I think about that now when it's happening. Instead of thinking about like feeling sorry for myself and being like, oh, I'm so weak, I'll be like, nope, this is where we're doing it. This is where the muscle is made, right here.
You didn't obviously see me earlier when it took me to my knees. Right. And I forgot that you were on Zoom with me.
Oh, really? I didn't see you. I was just trying to keep up with JJ.
I was like, oh my gosh. But I know that when I track my containers every single time that stuff happens, I get back on track. I lose my sugar cravings. I can say no to the pineapple that's sitting here, that has been sitting there all week and I haven't had a piece of it. There's, maybe it's not a weight loss, but that's not my goal anyways.
Right.
It's more to get my eating back on habit and less sugar and less snacks. And for me, I just, that when I'm bored, then that's when I snack. Then that's when I'm hungry, but I'm not really hungry. I'm just bored.
Right. Yeah. And it's like right now, your why is big enough that the other pieces don't matter. So I think that's where you have to kind of tie into too, right? Like if you have created this out there goal or just kind of this goal that's floating around, like I want to lose weight. Well, that doesn't really mean a lot to you because that could be a pound, that could be 10 pounds, 100 pounds, whatever. It's like you have to get specific. So Lily's like, I'm going to follow my containers this week. That is my goal. I'm going to get my eating on track. And that's a focused in goal, right? So when you have a focused in goal and you believe you can do it, because you can't pick a goal that you're like, I'm going to lose 50 pounds this week. Right? Yeah, see, everybody's laughing, right?
I'm already this big.
Yeah, it doesn't work, right? I'm going to have 6-pack abs by the end of the week.
by the end of the
But so you have to pick something that really is meaningful and that
doable.
you believe you can do. It might be a stretch. It might feel a little bit of a reach, and that's totally okay. But you really have to like have this belief that whatever you're going into, you can do, because that's when you then, the sabotage piece doesn't matter, right? Somebody can ask you if you want something, and you're like, hey, no, I'm good, thanks. And you're not going to give a second thought to it. But if you have a goal that's just kind of, maybe I'll do it. Maybe it's this week. Maybe I'll start the diet on Monday. You know?
Well, and recognizing that it's going to take time. I saw my friend posted this thing the other day and it made me laugh. And it said, me waking up in the morning, not sure why I don't have a 6-pack abs and dropped all the weight after I had a side salad with my pizza last night.
Exactly. Like there's a video of the dog hitting the scale, and it's like me thinking I should have lost 15 pounds after a salad, you know?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it takes time and it takes work and understanding what you're going after. And to your point, why are you going after it? You know, like, and it has to be for you and it can't be for other people. That's
right.
Also like the big thing.
And understanding where you're like that, this has to shift. You have to shift how you're thinking about things, because your current thinking is your current body, right? I haven't shifted into a figure competitor. I have not. Right? and
I said heck no when I found out all the work. And
right, I probably never will. Yeah, but see, now here's the thing. I do believe if I really wanted to, I could do it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And I, you know what I mean? So it's like,
I don't want to though.
Exactly.
I don't want it that bad enough.
Yeah, but you have to realize, right? Like, in order to change the current body into something else, you have to shift how you're thinking about things too. So that's where it comes into like, why am I grabbing this food versus this food? Why am I not putting vegetables with my meals, right? To help me stay full, to get my nutrients, to feel better. Why am I not drinking my water through the day? Why am I skipping my workouts? Right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, and none of the harder part is not judging yourself off those answers and not asking yourself in a judgy way. It's just like, it's like you're a piece of data and you're observing someone else so that you can offer help, right? As women, we're really good at offering our opinions and help to people. So it's like, how can you observe your own action and then be like, how could I do that different? Or how could I think about this different? So I can get to the next step. Because you're only going to get as close to the goal as you mentally allow yourself to get. Mm-hmm. So if you keep, like I hear a lot of people talking about, I lost 5 pounds, gained 5 pounds, lost 5 pounds, gained 5 pounds. And that's really all in, I did something to lose it. And then I went back to some old habits and got it back. Anytime you go into a nutrition plan or a whatever plan thinking, I'm going to do this to get to my goal and then I can resume my life, it's not going to happen, right?
You're not losing weight, you're evicting it. It's never coming back.
Exactly. And you're changing yourself to be the person that's this new weight, right? You're not just changing your weight, you're changing your lifestyle, which I think people take as such a scary, I actually did a post about that, I think yesterday. People think it's such a scary, like, if you change your lifestyle, it means, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to do yoga every morning and meditate and eat kale. And you know what I mean? I'm only gonna get to this size if I'm doing all these crazy things. But as you guys have all seen, it's not the big decisions, it's not the big things, it's the daily smaller pieces that matter the most. The not having a snack when you're not hungry, the stopping at dinner when you've had enough, versus, Rochelle and I were talking today about, like, sometimes when you're eating and you're like, oh, I really need some more of that. But then if you give yourself a second and you're like, I'll have a little water, then see, and then it's like, oh yeah, okay, I'm good.
Yep.
There's a lot of those little tricks, and it's all in those small decisions and those small shifts And it's not, like you have to move to Costa Rica and live on the beach I mean, that'd be amazing, but.
Where do we sign up for that?
Or maybe I should say you have to eat kale every meal and tree bark and butterfly wings. I don't know. Yeah.
Something like that.
Tree
what
bark tea.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you guys think would help, if people are listening to the recording, what, like a sabotage situation, or what would you think is something you could follow, or your best advice for following that you know of for sabotage?
Plan ahead. It's like, what is the saying is
Fail to plan.
fail to plan and plan to fail.
What?
Fail to plan and then plan to fail.
Yeah.
Like always plan ahead. So what I'll do is I'll have groceries come on Sunday and then I have groceries come on Friday.
Nice.
That way
That's
I'm
good.
able,
Right before the weekend.
that's exactly why I do
That's
it, because
smart.
if not, the weekend I will sabotage everything I've done Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
I'll eat all the things that are not aiding me in my goals and aren't making me feel good.
Yeah.
And then on Monday I'm confused. Like it's like a dystopian novel again. I'm like, what? Why am I here?
Yeah.
So yeah, Sunday, and then I take time to like prep like vegetables and like quinoa or whatever carbs I'm having, starches, and then just make sure I have everything on hand, and then it comes again on Friday and I roll into the weekend strong.
And what I hear from that too, which I think is super important, is you're focusing on how you're feeling, how it makes you feel to be prepared to eat the way you intend to eat, and to also eat to fuel your body, not just a comfort or like a quick satisfaction, right? Like you're focusing on those pieces, not maybe an end result in a different way, right? Like a metric, like a size, a shape, a look. Because all of those things come into play, right? When you're really focusing on the actual things that have to get done, like following the nutrition plan and actually eating those foods versus, the outcome from that. Did I lose inches? Did I do this? It shifts a lot in I think how you look at things, and taking some of the stress out of the results versus the work.
Oh yeah, well, and I'm not out of alignment or integrity with myself, right? Like
Right.
I've kept up my end of the bargain, which is that I'm committed to fueling myself and feeding myself food that makes me feel good, and that I've already said that I want to have. And so by fulfilling that, I've maintained integrity and I haven't duped myself. Like I treat myself as I would a friend. Like I would never just like, tell a friend like, yeah, we're totally going to eat this, and then we're not having it because now I'm out of integrity, right? Like, no, I'm going to give you like, a bagel with cream cheese, and you're not going to have your fruit bowl instead. Like, no, I really want the fruit bowl.
Right. Yeah. I love that. You think about even like with your workout, if that was an appointment you had with your friend, you wouldn't skip it. You'd be like, I told her I was going to meet her, so I'm going to go do that. Right. That trainer is your bestie, and you got to show up, even though they'll have no idea you're showing up, but you got to show up. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't feel good not to be in alignment or have integrity with yourself.
It doesn't. It doesn't at all. Well, that wraps up today's lesson. That was good.
And we were closing early.
And scene.
I would say I've in the past sabotaged myself with rewarding myself with food.
Mm-hmm.
Like I get on the scale and I'm like, oh, I'm 2 pounds down, or I'm 1 pound down, or whatever. I'm doing good. Kick butt my workout. I can have an extra, whatever it is, extra glass of wine.
I did. I totally did the same thing.
Yeah. Extra, what a handful of nuts or extra,
Yeah.
and then after I eat it, I'm like, ugh, like that wasn't very awesome. Like
not as satisfying, is it?
No,
Right.
it's not as satisfying. And of course, the next day, the scale is usually not as down as it was the day before. Or sometimes it's, the same, but it's not as satisfying for sure. And so I've learned to reward myself other ways. It just doesn't, I finally learned that it's just not worth it to have an extra treat when you're on a weight loss goal and you're trying to meet a specific number. It just doesn't get you to where you want to go anyways. So
yeah, it doesn't feel that good after you're like, oh, I'm gonna have this extra whatever, and then you're like, oh, I don't feel that great about myself.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, especially if it's something sugary, it's usually not as good as you thought it was.
It's
right.
not.
It's definitely not as satisfying, or like, you're like, oh, I'm really glad I had that. That was amazing. That's pretty rare, right? That you have something and you're like, that was awesome. I'm so glad I did it.
Well, last night I had the last chocolate from Christmas that my husband gave me. I had one a night.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't have any tonight. But Valentine's Day is coming. So we talked about going back to the store, and we're going to get a bunch of milk chocolate for me and dark chocolate for him. And we're going to have one a night. And I enjoyed every single one.
That's good.
And
then you didn't have that binge feeling, right? That you needed to compensate because you had a treat and it felt good.
Because, I wouldn't have got even that much satisfaction eating the whole box, even though I liked them.
Right.
Here I took one and I ate it slow and I enjoyed it. And one was better than the next. It was great. I can't wait to do it again.
It's probably because it didn't come with any guilty feelings, right? Because you're like, this is totally fine. I'm just going to have this one piece and move on. But then when you have like a whole candy bar or a whole box of chocolates, then, the mental like shaming you do to yourself and just the whole, like, why did I do that?
And I didn't once go in that box in between and take one when he wasn't looking. And that's what I normally do, because there was a lot in there. He didn't count it. And I didn't do it.
That's a huge victory, Kathy. I think you need to recognize that that's really good. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's also planning ahead, knowing that you're going to have the chocolate and enjoy it and have one chocolate and stick to that. That's,
it's being true to yourself, because you didn't cheat yourself by going in and taking extra.
I would have it at 9:00 every night while we're watching TV. Sometimes he would go get it and bring it on a cute little plate or something.
I love it. Presentations, everything.
Yes. Sometimes he'd come out early, like 8 or 8:30 when we were going to start watching. He goes, now leave it there until 9:00. I'm like, okay. Gives you something to look forward to. Because he would ask me, do you want it right after dinner? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to enjoy it because I just ate dinner. I'm full. I want it later so I can look forward to it for 3 hours. It was great.
Perfect.
It's great.
See, and it's like, that's where this is so personalized. You have to figure out what it is, right? Like what you can look forward to and works for you. And then also just giving yourself the confidence that it's okay. Like you're not going to be missing something if you don't have like a giant amount of treats, right? This one square is completely adequate, satisfying. Adequate's not a very good word. Satisfying. It is exactly what you want, and it's perfect amount, and
it's real chocolate. It wasn't fake stuff.
I can't even do milk chocolate anymore. Dark chocolate is my jam.
I love milk.
It's funny how you shift in different things, and like I was telling my husband the other day, I'm like, it's so funny because it's like I like this peanut butter that like Kim and I are now obsessed with.
I have to get it because I saw her post. I'm like, where do I get this peanut butter?
50% off right now off the seasonal flavors, just FYI.
Where is it?
50% off?
I'll send you a link. Yeah,
send a link. Flavors. I'm going to just do it. You had me at 50% off.
I have the peanut butter cashew one right now. And it's just so but it's funny, that for me is the treat now. That's a treat for me, right? Whereas 5 years ago, it would have been an almond croissant.
Huh.
way different, right? In the spectrum of things. And so it's, it's amazing how you can shift what becomes like exciting and a treat. And,
Yeah.
like I get excited about that stupid salad every day, which is,
I'm still obsessed with the salads. Are you kidding me? And the
it's funny though, I am going to stop for a little bit because today I noticed this week, it took me a little longer to get through my lettuce tub and it started to get a little
Oh yeah.
slimy. And I'm like, okay, I need a salad break. So I'm going to take a little break.
I moved on to the quinoa salad today because I ran out of lettuce.
So good.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, this is amazing. Yeah, I have to make more quinoa because I used
What's
it all
in
in
that salad that you keep talking about that salad? What is it about that salad?
It's not fancy.
A bunch of vegetables. It's literally
That's all it is.
a bunch of vegetables and a dressing that I think tastes really good. So it's a
So what's
ginger
the
miso dressing.
What's the dressing? Because that must be what it is.
Well, I mean, it is and it isn't. Like I eat it, it's huge. So I eat it and I feel like I've just had a ton of food and it tasted like the dressing tastes to me like the kind of like the dressing you get at a Japanese steakhouse. It's got ginger and miso and rice vinegar and sesame oil.
Yum.
But it's not like there's anything magical. It's just that like I've told myself this is a really satisfying meal. Like I'm like, I feel good after it. It tastes good to me while I'm eating it. Sometimes my jaw gets sore because I'm chewing on these vegetables for so long. Like it used to take me a half hour to eat the salad because it was like so much chewing.
Oh, did you put different vegetables in all the time?
I do about this. I have about the same things on hand all the time. So like, I'll just do like a spring mix lettuce.
Yeah.
And then that's your base, right? And then if I can find good microgreens, I'll do those. So those are just like the little sprouts, right?
Okay.
And then I'll do some jicama, some sweet pepper, like like the little tiny peppers that are like bell peppers, but they're smaller.
Okay.
Carrots, cucumber, and some cherry tomatoes just sliced in half. And then sometimes I'll put nuts on it and sometimes I'll put avocado on it. Today I added a little chicken because there was some chicken in the fridge. Sometimes if I've had salmon, I'll throw some salmon on it, or sometimes it's just without protein. But it's like there's nothing thrilling about it. It's a bunch of vegetables.
Oh.
But it's like because I ate it almost every day during the reset, and then it just kept sounding good, so I just kept eating it. And I'm like, why would I stop if it sounds good, right? Like, and it's all good stuff. But I think you can find things like that taste really good, like the another recipe from the reset, like the Asian stir fry, super good. It's like super flavorful, but there's nothing magical. It's whatever vegetables you have on hand: broccoli, peppers, zucchini. I can't remember what else and carrots. I think were in it.
Yeah. And then baby bok choy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah. But and if you don't have it, you don't have it. And it's literally like chopped up ginger, chopped up garlic, some liquid aminos, and a little bit of
I hit the end of it though last night. I have one more plate of it, but I can't. I'm tapped out. I ate too much of it. But it's so good.
Where do you get the jicama in the store? I can't find it.
Oh yeah, well it is a little, like some stores it's kind of hidden sometimes, and like it was funny when I was in Wisconsin, there was like little guys like this, and I'm like, oh, you guys have little jicama, that'd be so easy to use up, because the ones in my store are like a dinner plate practically, and I'm like, that's going to be hard for me to get
with
through.
The fruit or with the vegetable?
They're usually where like maybe the ginger would be, where it's dry, and it's smaller amounts of things. So like maybe they'll have 5 or 6 in a bin. So like sometimes it's by the peppers or the mushrooms, somewhere where it's not going to get water on it.
Oh, okay.
I think you can also find it sometimes in the canned goods aisle.
Oh yeah, maybe already cut up. And
like yeah, I think next to like the vegetables or like the hearts of palm, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Maybe
yeah, I haven't even looked over there.
You can also find it usually near the tofu, which is near like the bags of like peas and broccoli and salad and stuff. Usually there's like a tub of it in water. Usually you can find it there as well. That's
Yeah,
already
get
cut
it
up.
already cut up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be perfect too.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, I don't know. I think you're telling yourself there's things worth enjoying, right? And that's kind of where you stop the sabotage, because you're like, however I feel or however this is going and it's working well, I'm going to keep going toward that versus worrying about what I'm scared of, what it's going to look like, however it might feel, right? Later on, I'm just going to keep going toward this thing. But it has to be something you really want, right? It has to be something that you're willing to.
And then it's sustainable.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yes, obviously I'm still eating within like the reset and stuff because I want to, not because I feel like I have to.
Right.
And also like this weekend, I know that there'll be 2 dinners that I will have that will be completely out of scope of what I've been eating. And that's completely fine because my other meals are already like batched and ready. Like I already know what I'll have during the day.
Exactly.
That's
All good
planning.
things.
That's what helps is planning it out. Like if you know you're gonna have wine later, then don't eat a whole bunch of carbs earlier in the day.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Planning ahead.
Planning and follow through.
That too. Yeah. Following through on your plan.
Exactly. Keeping your commitment to yourself feels better than, a candy bar or whatever else is a temporary thing.
You wouldn't cheat on your man, so don't cheat on yourself.
Yeah, or just don't cheat on yourself because it's really about you.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So does anybody have anything further you want to talk about with sabotage? And then if there's any food labels.
I have no labels.
I don't have it. It's in the freezer, but I bought so Costco had the cauliflower rice back again. Yay. It was missing for a few weeks. But they also had this stir fry cauliflower rice. So I looked on the back, and so basically it's cauliflower, some peppers, trying to think of what else was in there. There may have been corn, but it wasn't like, it's straight vegetables, right? And then it comes with some packets that you could add. So you could choose to add it or not add it. The added sugars were not very much. So I think it's going to be more of a salty mix, because I was kind of looking to see, is it going to be like a sweet teriyaki or is it going to be more just like a soy sauce? And so each serving was 60 calories. So it really is, the sauce itself is not adding a lot to it. You'll just have to watch sodium amounts. But I thought, what a great little kit, right? Because if you're not used to making those types of sauces or things, this is going to be a really fast way to just do some chicken, do some cauliflower stir fry, and then you're set for the night.
Next week, I have a label of a teriyaki sauce that I've used that literally you can just buy at the grocery store. I'll bring that. We can go through that because I'm always like nervous about the sauces they include because they'll put like high fructose corn syrup in it or whatever. But I bought like a stir fry thing of frozen vegetables a while ago, and it had the teriyaki packet, and I chucked that out and I used this bottle. I'll bring it next week, but to your point, so if you didn't have enough or whatever, you can have something you can grab on the shelf and you don't have to make.
Right. And like we learned in the reset, you literally could just chop up garlic, ginger, and throw in some liquid aminos and you'll be good to go.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, those kinds of things can be really simple, and I find even more delicious then, because it's like you don't have these kind of weird aftertastes or added things that after you've been eating real foods for a while, you really start to taste the foods that are processed, and you start to taste that processing. Like I can even if we have a K-cup for coffee instead of filling our own K-cup, like I can tell the difference. Like there's something in those K-cups that just doesn't taste right. Like it's just
chemicals and plastic.
Vibrant.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't ruin it for me.
Yeah. I don't know what's in them. I didn't look. I'm just saying it does not taste like the coffee I
La, la,
want.
la, 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 la.
Yeah.
Doesn't
I like
taste
my
like the fresh
coffee.
ground Portland coffee that I'm used to. I'm such a coffee snob.
I just love the smell of it. So
Yes.
that's, I'm gonna have a hard time on the gut protocol if she tells me I have to give it up.
Well, I do have a tea that helps because I did give it up for 3 weeks.
I like the smell of it. I like to
I know
taste.
this
I
kind of
like- I
has,
don't
it
care
has a
about the-
little, it's a little bit of a coffee smell. It's called Ticino and it's a little,
Okay, yeah. See, I don't need the energy or the caffeine from it. I just like the taste and I love the smell of it. So
Just sub in coffee ice cream. No, I'm kidding.
oh, there you go. Yeah, that'll be on the gut protocol.
that's perfect on the gut protocol.
100%, 100%. Yeah.
Or a toffee chocolate bar.
Yeah.
So
No,
you'll share that link to the peanut butter?
Yes, I
Okay.
will. Does
Okay.
that, I could, yeah. Does everybody want it or?
'Cause I'm gonna order that this evening.
Okay.
she's
Yeah.
like, I want it now, please.
Now I will say I did look at the labels. So Kim's favorite is the sugar cookie and it does have a lot of added sugar. It's
I'm
like
sure.
8 grams of added sugar. I have not tried that one, so I can't attest to it. I'm really hooked on the peanut cashew one, which is of course not a seasonal flavor, so it's not included in the sale. But that one has, I want to say 2 grams of added sugar and 3 grams total. And that's
But
what
it's real
most of them
sugar?
have. Huh?
It's real sugar.
Yeah, this one is honey, the one I have. Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah. And then I also have the seasonal flavor gingerbread, which is really good. And that had less sugar too. The sugar cookie was really the one that really kind of had a lot, hence the name.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Right? Yeah. But yeah, I'll send it out. You guys can see what you think.
I'm excited.
Yeah. And then tomorrow is Valentine Colors for Funky Friday. Kathy, are you finding the group at all? Do you check in on your computer?
I haven't looked. I've been so busy.
Ooh, we're having so much fun in there. You should check in on us once in
You
a
know, I'm
while.
gonna have to do it.
You do.
I'll get
Yep.
back into it. Once we settle down and get all the pieces together.
Yeah, yeah. You have quite a stressful
Yeah,
situation.
we have a lot to do tomorrow and Monday. so-
Yeah.
But Saturday, I think we're gonna go out. There's a theater by us. They're gonna have like Valentine's music. They're gonna have all love songs from the Broadway shows.
Oh,
He's
fun.
been telling me he wants to go, but we won't buy tickets because we don't know. But I looked, there's plenty of seats. I said, we could just go the last minute and we can get in.
Perfect. That'll be fun.
We need to get away after all
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, yeah. You'll need a break for sure.
Yeah.
And going to listen to music or going dancing or whatever you want to do, perfect reward, right?
Yeah.
Perfect
Yeah.
way to add something in. And then I did set the date for the next meal prep class. That'll be March 6th. So I'll work on the menu, but March 6th will be the first Sunday. So,
You want to cook in Punta Cana?
right. I'll go to the buffet and be like, here's what we're having today.
You're gonna catch your fish and grill it for us.
There you go.
Well, they do that there.
I know. I
Do
can't
they?
wait.
Yeah, the first year we were there, we walked down to the pool and they had the whole fish on the grill. And I'm like, it was the best fish I've ever had, I think.
Nice.
Oh,
Wow.
God, so good. I hope they're doing it because it was like later than that. It didn't quite happen as often. So I'm hoping they're doing it again.
They better be doing it. You've been talking it up and I'm so
I know,
excited to
right?
try it.
Lily's gonna get down there and like, this isn't nearly as exciting as I thought it would be. Deanna needs to chill.
34 days. 34 days.
When do you go again?
We fly, I think we both fly the 16th, right?
16th
Yeah.
of March.
Lily
Okay.
takes a red eye. I'll be out in the middle of the day
Yeah.
In
Nice.
March? In March.
of
right?
March.
March,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We'll be gone 9 days. I don't think I'll do a nutrition call from there, but we could see because that's the day I get in.
Oh my God. Take your break and enjoy
Yeah,
Punta
take a break,
Cana.
yeah.
Right. And then the next Thursday.
Are
I
you
think I'm
flying
still
home the
flying
next
home.
Thursday?
Yeah, well, but I think I get in at 3 p.m. It
So
just
you'll be
depends
home.
on if we're delayed at all. So we may have two out, or somebody, or you guys can all still get on the link and talk with each other.
We'll
It just
chat.
won't be structured.
We'll eat our chocolate.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
Bev, Bev may be around too, where she could jump
That would
on.
be cool.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. And then we can jump on if we need to. Yeah, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to some warm weather and
Yeah.
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 Me too. Warm weather, sand and fish.
and Kim's even talking about bringing her peanut butter. So we could have
Oh,
a peanut butter party down
perfect.
there.
Will she share?
I don't know.
Just bring your own spoon.
I'll share
Bring your
my
own
weights.
spoon.
I'll share my weights with her if she shares.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. You'll have to have some kind of barter. So you got to bring something good.
Yes.
Yeah, Energize. I'll bring my Energize.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll probably all have that. All right, you guys, I'll let you get off here. Okay, so I'm sending the link to the peanut butter. Funky Friday tomorrow, Valentine's colors. Yep, that's all of our happenings.
That's all we
going
got.
on. Yeah. Okay, well, have a great night and a great weekend. Oh, we didn't talk about the Super Bowl. Just don't go crazy.
Okay.
Stay
You
away
guys
from
got
the
this.
food. Stay away from the food and keep
It's
your
the
fingers
smallest
busy.
plate
Yeah, just-
possible.
Just use your tactics and have a good time. Enjoy the company, enjoy the commercials, enjoy the puppy bowl, whatever you like to watch.
The halftime show.
Halftime show. Yeah.
Watch the
Yes.
halftime show, enjoy that. Yeah,
Yeah. That should be entertaining for sure.
it should be. There's a lot of stars there.
Yeah.
It's quite a show. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you next Thursday then.
Good
Okay.
night.
Well,
Hey,
Smile.
thank you.
Smile.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to take a picture, didn't I?
1,
We
2,
have to take a picture.
smile.
Lily's doing it.
Oh,
Okay, got it.
Bye, guys.
Lily's better at that than I am.
He's
See
a
you
pro.
later.
Okay.